Shalom. In part 2, I would like to go into a little bit of the sociological aspect of homosexuality and how our environment a lot of times affects our thought processes. Many years ago, when my children were little and I was married, our local community had built a new middle school, and they decided to have an open house. So my wife asked me, would you like to go to the open house and see the new middle school? And I said, sure. So we did. And we were given a tour. And afterwards we came home and we sat down with a cup of coffee, and I asked my wife, I said, did you notice anything different about the middle school? And she said, no, I really didn't. And I said, well, stop and think about it. Remember the tour. Was there anything that struck you as unusual about it? And she said, no, it seemed like just a normal middle school. And I said, well, let me delve a little farther into this. What did the girls' locker room look like? And she said, well, there were lockers and individual showers with shower curtains like any other girls' locker room. And I said, that's correct. Now, tell me what the boys' locker room looked like. And she said, you know, I really don't remember. And I said, I can tell you. It was a room full of lockers, but in the middle of the room, there was a single pole with 6 shower heads coming out of it. I said, now imagine that you're a boy coming back from PE class. You take off your clothes, you go into the shower, you turn the shower on, and what are you looking at, standing straight across from you and on all sides? She said, other naked boys. I said, exactly. Why is it that girls are treated differently than boys? Why are girls given more privacy than boys are? Then we wonder, when we become adults, why we have homosexual thoughts. Aren't we really raised in that kind of an environment? I remember when I joined the Navy at the age of 18, the first experience I had was at the recruiting station in St. Louis, and from the moment we entered that place until we left, we were in our underwear only. And eventually it came to the point where they put us in a big long line. We had to take off our underwear, and then they checked our privates. And here we were standing next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, completely nude, touching the man next to you. And doesn't that encourage homosexual tendencies? And for 3 days in the Navy, I was naked. It seemed like every time I turned around, they were having us to take our clothes off, to issue new clothes. Even in the swimming pool, that was the worst experience I had in that aspect, when they were testing us to see if we could swim, and they brought us into this huge Olympic-sized pool completely naked, and then they had us to line up to jump off of a tower, and one of the instructors at the end of the line took a bamboo stick and he whopped the guy in at the end of the line in the butt with it, which caused him to jump forward, and everybody else jumped forward, and you felt the guy behind you and the guy in front of you at the same time. And I'm going, and then they say that it's not good to have homosexual thoughts in the military? They're causing them. How many times in our environment do they put us in a position to have these thoughts and then turn around and condemn us for having them? I think before anything can be done about this situation, we have to go to the roots. You know, if we expect people not to have homosexual tendencies, then we have to go back to the very beginning of their raising and look at all the different things that have exposed them to it. It's like putting a kid in a candy jar. You know, you can't expect them not to eat candy if they're exposed to it. And it's the same thing. There are things in our lives that we're exposed to that cause us to have these thoughts and these desires. And we really need to re-examine this whole situation and find out what we can do from the beginning on to stop this progress if this is what society does not want. Of course, I do not believe that having homosexual thoughts is a sin. It's only the act. But the more we're exposed to something, the more chances we have of doing those things. And it's just ridiculous to me that society encourages it and then turns around and condemns it at the same time. We need to be consistent, because children do not understand inconsistency, and adults a lot of times do not understand inconsistency. We need to try to be as consistent and as logical as we can throughout our life, so that it's easier for other people to understand what's going on. And this is one of the things that I think we really need to understand about this situation, and how we have exposed our children to it in the past, and how perhaps we can keep from overly exposing our children to it in the future, so that they do not come to have to make decisions about this and possibly make the wrong decision and sin against Torah. Especially in the Messianic Jewish world, we really need to take a good look at it, because we don't want to be a stumbling block to anybody. We don't want to put something in the way that will cause somebody harm. And we don't believe in beating up people because of their sexual preferences. We believe in trying to help them, and in order to help them, we have to go back to the very beginning and see where we have gone wrong in the past and try to correct that in the future. And hopefully our knowledge and our intellect will rise above this situation and allow us to be the people that Hashem has called us to be. Shalom, have a good day, and God bless.